Open the gate.
So, today,
Alexa.
I need to, well, I'm going to show you how to do a battery replacement in not one, but two phones. I'm not actually doing a battery replacement, but I'm essentially going to be doing all of the steps necessary to a battery replacement. So I figured I'd make a video about it. And with that, what are we going to need? So I might add some stuff along the way. Honestly, I'm a human. I've worked on more than enough 12s, but mostly teardowns, so I can't remember, to be honest, exactly what parts you need specifically for a battery, but I'm almost 99% positive that it is I'm going to be doing two phones, so I have two magnetic mats, I have my opening tool, my pentalobe, we need a tri-wing, I use a Y000, we have a nylon spudger, and I use two different tweezers for the battery adhesive strips. There are other tools that aren't bad to have. You might need these. I don't think you do, but a standoff bit and then a Phillips. I'm going to use those inevitably in the video. I'm not sure if I'm going to use those specifically in the battery repair yet, or for the battery replacement. And then we need some sort of alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, 91 or 99. Do not use 70. Repeat, 91 or 99. Do not use 70%. And then we're also going to need our battery adhesive strips. And then we're going to need our gasket. I'll show you how to use these later, but for now, let's get into it. You don't have to use gloves. I'm just using gloves because the phone that I'm interacting with is gold plated and the customer paid a lot of money for this. We got to send it back to him. And the last thing I want to do is have him be upset because something was done improperly, or there was a scratch somewhere. So we use gloves. You probably don't have to, though. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this, but we need a heat source. Assuming that you want to reuse your screen, typically, the older the device is, the easier the gasket is to remove. I mean, if your screen is broken, well, I guess if you're replacing your screen in the process, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if you're reusing it like me, I would definitely This is always the nerve-wracking part of working on really expensive phones. Now, if you, like me, have worked on iPhones, you'll remember that, we'll put it this way, if this is your first 12, the board is on this side. There's two things that we're getting past, which is the adhesive, which sort of holds it down, but then there's also, there's a bracket. I just felt one, which is about right here. And there's another one. If I haven't mentioned this, your tool isn't going very far into the iPhone. The other thing that I can do, or that I like doing, is once you get past a certain point, right about here, I will just say this, warning, the flex only has so much give. Obviously the last thing that you want to do is remove the screen and then tear the flex in the process. So that's a technique that I have. When you don't want to slice, you can essentially achieve the same result by just twisting. So once you get it here, we can come back. There are two brackets on the top. Essentially we want the screen to go down and left. At least that's how we have to get it off initially. I'm gonna cheat. Okay, so I disregard that last part. There we go, and I can feel it coming undone. Keep in mind, when we don't have much room, you can see the flex right there. Now we can pivot. Sorry, this is very nerve-wracking whenever you're working on a screen this expensive, and that's it. So, if I didn't mention this in the beginning, magnetic mats, they're amazing. Even if you don't work on repairs all that often, I would highly suggest getting one. Some screws are the same size. Some are not. Whatever, I'm just gonna leave it there. Also, a good set of tools will make or break a repair. If there's one that I would focus on more than anything else, it would be the tri-wing. I've seen a lot of people strip these screws. They're not easy to get out once they're stripped. So this one was pretty self-explanatory. This bracket lifts up. You need to get past that little sort of hook in the upper left right there. Now, before you go and start disconnecting stuff, you do want to disconnect your battery, which is this one right here. Normally I use my fingernail, but I'm trying to show you how to do this on camera. And obviously when I use my fingernail, it obscures the connector. Once you're here, you can disconnect the screen. On some models, I will do the battery replacement with the screen still attached. But on this one, gotta show you the full walkthrough. Now, yep, so I'm right. We do need the Phillips. We slowly just have to start taking apart some of the charging port assembly just to get easier access to the battery strips. This is by no means necessary. I've seen some people do this, maybe not on this model, but I've seen it on other models. But for the average individual, I would suggest now, for reasons I don't feel like explaining right now, I need to keep some of this stuff intact because I need to put all this stuff back together. But there's this piece of adhesive that sort of connects the Taptic engine and the loudspeaker. Feel free to literally just disconnect that. You can sort of just peel it off. It's mainly just tamper evident tape. It doesn't actually serve a functional purpose. Now, Apple, at least when I took some of their courses, specifically advised against using metal, specifically for the reasons of accidentally puncturing batteries. I've done hundreds of batteries over my years of repair. Pretty much as long as you don't accidentally puncture the battery, you'll be fine. So get the battery tabs. Now, by all means, if you don't have alcohol, this isn't necessary. But if you are a novice, honestly, even if you're not, I personally much prefer working with alcohol, as it just takes all the bite out of the adhesive. And the possibility of tearing drops tremendously. You want to do it slowly. Now, these are kind of a pain. Honestly, what I find to be the easiest would be to just, and I can already kind of see that they're lifting up. Like I said, it takes away all the bite. So this is something that I need to reuse. Essentially, I just need to drop the logic board on this phone into a different device. I need to transfer batteries, which is why I'm doing 2 battery removals. So that is 1 battery replacement. Let me take apart the second, and I'll be back with the second. Okay, so here we go, round 2. We take our, losing the word, tweezers. I like the twist method. Isopropyl alcohol, 1, 2, 3. And you can twist. Another thing I like doing is, if sometimes it wants to put up a fight, is you can just pull at an angle. See, you can already feel the battery wiggle, because, I mean, just to use our battery adhesive as a reference, I mean, as you can clearly see, the overwhelming majority is right here and right here. It's almost like this was an afterthought. Honestly, I don't even know why they have this piece right here. I feel like it just doesn't do anything. But whatever, it's Apple. So and on this one, I literally didn't even have to try. I just lift it up. But if yours doesn't, just use some alcohol like I showed. There we go. Now that the batteries are out, I'm gonna proceed along with my repair. And when I get to the part where I'm gonna put the battery back in, I'll start filling again, so we can get on to the next step, at least for you. Okay, so here's our battery. Here's our battery adhesive. And, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. The part 1, 2, and just do your best to align. And I'll point out, you can kind of see the perimeter and use that as your best guide. If you can. Once you get here, you can fold these in. Now we'll do the same here, fold in. And then we want these to adhere to the battery as well as possible. You don't have to use the tool that I'm using, you just as easily can use your fingers or your thumb or whatever. Peel it off. Voila. Now, the technique that I prefer is to tuck in our battery connector. And you have a little bit of play right here. Now, what you want to avoid doing is just dropping the battery down, because if the because if you miss a line, then it can just be an absolute nightmare trying to get your battery connected. So usually what I do is connect the battery first. That's done. We can then take our battery, push down, give it a good shake, and that's it. That's how to install your battery. Now I will mention that you want to disconnect your battery when you are reconnecting your screen. As the last thing you want to do is short something out. Just because the battery is connected but the phone isn't on doesn't mean there's still electricity running through the phone. So the first and last thing, if I didn't already mention this at the beginning, first and last thing you should always do is to disconnect your battery. Make sure the board has no power. There's no power to the board. Now, this connector here is pretty easy. It's this one here, which is a little bit wider. Once again, make sure your battery is disconnected. Now on this one, just because it's a wider cable, I usually do left to right, or if you prefer right to left, that's also fine, but avoid pressing down just in the center of the connector. As it can bow. And, well, that's no good. Because when it bows, sometimes you can have loss of touch sensitivity in certain areas, or ghost touching, any number of things. So you always want to avoid pressing dead center. Let me drop a few more screws in. Now on wider, larger retaining plates, I like to align one corner and avoid tightening the first one, because sometimes you can be off by just a little bit, and then you have to loosen one and then retighten it. So remember, don't just drop this straight in. So this sort of has to, almost like a hook. There's a little piece right here. You can see that little majigger right there. So we're gonna grab, nope. There we go. So I haven't loosened these yet until I get to that corner. Now I can tighten the rest. So now, number one, you do want to make sure, let me pop this out here really quick, but you do want to make sure that your, essentially the sort of, you want to make sure that you can see it sort of pop in right there. Sometimes they come out when you pull out the screen, but you just want to make sure that they're seated properly, as you can accidentally damage the display. And if I haven't already said this, they are really expensive. Honestly, they probably will be for some time. Everything is flush. Take our screws. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. If you liked the video, if it helped you, please give the video a like. Honestly, if there's something you think I should do or I should add or I should focus on, I am open to constructive criticism. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, these videos are essentially to help out, you know, to empower the people. So if there's something that you think I can do better, please, by all means, let me know. I will take it into consideration. Thank you so much. See you next time.